History remembers the pioneers as brave, but what it often forgets is who remembered the details. Picture a child born into hardship, not the kind that fades with time, but the kind that stacks year after year. Hunger, bitter winters, failed crops, loss that settles into a family like permanent weather. She was the youngest, born into a life already shaped by survival. By the time she could walk, her family had already endured blizzards that nearly killed them, fields stripped bare by insects, and the slow heartbreak of a sister who lost her sight. This child grew up watching adults carry burdens too heavy for words, and she had learned something early. Someone had to notice. Someone had to remember. While others dreamed of what might be next, she paid attention to what was. She noticed the way snow glittered when the sun finally returned after a storm, the smell of prairie grass after rain, the exact sound of a fiddle in a dark cabin when hope felt thin. She didn't leave home to chase big things. She stayed close, became a schoolteacher in small towns, helped her mother, stepped in where she was needed. Her life didn't look remarkable from the outside, but it was steady, and steady lives are often the ones that hold everything else together. When her parents died years apart, responsibility fell quietly on her shoulders. One sister, blind since childhood, needed care, companionship, and connection to a world she could no longer see. So she became her eyes. She described sunlight on snow, rolling grass like ocean waves, birdsong, lamps glowing at dusk. She learned how to translate the world into words, not for fame, but for love. Decades later, another sister, older now in her 60s, sat down to write about a childhood long past, about frontier life, about cabins and blizzards and fields that seemed endless. But memory is a fragile thing. So she asked questions. What did the house really look like? What flowers grew near the creek? What did the prairie smell like after rain? What songs did Mother hum while she worked? And the answers came from the sister who had been watching all along. Those vivid details, the ones that made readers feel like they were there, didn't come only from imagination. They came from memory, careful, lived-in memory, from the sister who never tried to be the star. She even wrote quietly for local newspapers, small pieces, everyday life, church socials, weather, school events. Nothing glamorous, everything essential. In 1932, the same year a little book about pioneer life was published, she fell gravely ill, diabetes before insulin could save her. As she lay in the hospital, family members visited, and one of them, her sister, brought a book, a story about their childhood, and she read it aloud. Imagine hearing your life returned to you in someone else's voice, the places you remembered, the details you preserved, the world you carried when others had forgotten. That sister, the writer, was Laura Ingalls Wilder, and the woman who remembered the world for her was Grace Ingalls. Grace died quietly in 1941. Her obituary was small, local. Laura's books would go on to sell more than 60 million copies, translated into dozens of languages, defining how generations imagined the American frontier. And many of the details that made those books feel real, the snow, the light, the smell of rain, came from Grace. She didn't write the words the world remembers. She made them true. She remembered the world so someone else could tell its story. And that kind of quiet legacy, that lasts just as long. This has been Twist of Fate Radio. I'm Angela Clark. Until next time, remember, sometimes the smallest choices lead to the biggest consequences. Want to explore more stories like this? Visit twistoffateradio.com. There you can read more details about this story and others like it. Plus, you can submit your own Twist of Fate story to be considered for a future episode. You never know what twist of fate is coming next.